What happens if the seller dies in the middle of escrow?
You're listening to Home Sellers Advantage. I'm your host, Aaron Zapata.
And I'm your other host, Todd Anderson. We are the Bald Brothers team at Impact Realty Group with Real Broker, and we are here to give you the Home Sellers Advantage.
You can find us online at www.baldbrothers.tv. Again, that's baldbrothers.tv.
Or you can call us at 833-305-BALD. That's 833-305-2253. Imagine, if you will.
Imagine, if you will, a scenario where we are in the middle of escrow and sole homeowner dies. That would be sad.
It would be.
But what happens? Like, that's a legit
scenario
that we've run into before.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to tell you what happens.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because you have a contract. Let's say that the scenario is that the buyer and the seller have come to terms. They have a legitimate purchase contract. The buyer has removed all of their contingencies. So they are all in, their money is in escrow, and everything's set to close. And then 5 days before close, before anything can be completely signed.
What about 4 days?
4 days, possibly.
Okay.
You want to ask about 3?
No.
The seller, who is the only seller, he's the one on the title deed, passes away. What happens to that contract?
Well, according to the continuing education courses that I'm taking right now, because they're required.
They're top of mind on Aaron's mind.
Yes, that question did come up. And that contract is canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Because the person is no longer able to perform their duty.
Yeah, they cannot.
Yeah, they can't act anymore.
They can't act.
So your deal's dead.
Mm-hmm.
If the seller's dead.
Unless, however, if the home is in a trust and the seller is the trustee and there is a successor trustee, how would that work then? Would the successor trustee then be able to come in and complete the execution of the transaction in the name of the trust?
I think that would be a great question for an estate attorney.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the answer, because we do not give legal advice.
Yes, we don't.
And this does not happen very often.
Yeah, and oftentimes when a person dies and their home is in a trust,
Mm-hmm.
It takes months to figure out and sort through. You know, that person's got to go to find the attorney, to get all the paperwork filed. It's just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you would have definitely at minimum a delay, potentially a cancellation.
There would definitely be a delay.
Because now you have a successor trustee who's working on behalf of a trust. And if there's other heirs involved, there could be a multiplication of difficulties just because other people come to the surface. And you would have to get the certified death certificate, which is going to take a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a definite delay, if not a full cancellation. But if the person is acting in their own capacity and they die, they're no longer able to do the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing if you sign a contract with a minor
Mm-hmm.
and you realize, oh no, a 17-year-old signed a contract.
Yeah, the contract is null and void.
Correct, because they do not have capacity.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal.
Now, if the seller has somebody who has POA, power of attorney, because the seller does not have full capacity when they entered into it, and the person with power of attorney has been signing everything in the name of
On behalf of.
Thank you. On behalf of the seller, that also would then be a question. I think that would also be one that you just have to consult a real estate attorney to know exactly, to make sure that could still go through. In my mind, if the person with power of attorney is signing in his stead, but the thing is, the person who is selling is no longer alive. So, yeah, we can't give you all the answers, but it is an interesting question.
It is. And one situation does allow for a property to continue, and that is if the seller is a corporation that has multiple members that have capacity to sign.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have a corporation with 4 different owners, and one of them passes away. That does not null and void the contract, because that person can still, the corporation can still function in its capacity as owner in order to move that sale forward. So that's a different situation.
Yeah.
So the hard part is when we are working in a transaction and something like this happens, even if all of the things can get worked through, okay, and the property can be sold and can be moved forward, oftentimes, because of the financial markets, your buyer, who was willing and able to purchase, may no longer be able or willing to purchase.
Yeah.
There could be a rate lock in play that
now is
no longer able to close on. So now they're subject to the market and rates go up, and they can no longer want to pay that higher mortgage rate.
Yeah, because of the delay. And so, yeah, Aaron brings up a good point that the buyer, even though the buyer has removed all contingencies, this creates a new material fact, is what we would say.
Right.
A new material fact. The buyer also might be determined that they are not going to purchase a home where somebody has passed away in the home.
That's correct.
And if the death occurred on the property, that also creates a new material fact.
That's correct. And so there are some secondary and tertiary circumstances here.
Tertiary.
Did I say it right? I said it wrong.
Pretty close.
Oh, man. I said it wrong. He's the wordsmith. He says accoutrements at listing appointments quite often. So if you want to hear the wordsmith, call Todd. Call Todd. He's going to help you out. He is a walking dictionary.
I don't know about that.
I have learned a lot of words from Todd. So, right? If you know Todd, he's used a lot of big words. So that is pretty much a simple but not complete answer to our question in which we were on a quest to answer today.
Yep.
Because every circumstance is different.
Every circumstance is different. We may not have answered the question for you, but at least we if nothing else, we created more questions for you. And you know how you can get those answers to those questions?
Give us a call.
Give us a call.
So we can know exactly what your circumstance is. And I do want to reference an older podcast not too long ago, about 3 or 4 ago, when we did talk about a reverse mortgage and what happens if you inherit a home that has a reverse mortgage on it. So, if you came across this podcast because you were searching, what happens if someone dies and I'm selling a property, perhaps you're looking for something about a reverse mortgage and how to handle that. Go back and listen to that episode. In fact, we can link it.
We can link it in the show notes. Yeah.
With that, Todd, what do we do?
We sell homes.
Yes, we do. And until next time, we wish you God's best and God bless. Thanks for listening to the Home Seller's Advantage. The Bald Brothers team is a licensed DBA of Real Broker, licensed by the California Department of Real Estate, number 02022-092. Again, we do not give any real estate, legal, or financial advice. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can call us at 833-305-BALD, or you can reach us online at baldbrothers.tv. Equal housing opportunity.